Hi everyone. Mid-morning. Mid-morning. No, it's not morning no more. It's after 12. Um, Cappuccino with coffee is what I'm drinking. Um, um, so get your coffee, sit down with me, and let's just chat. Now this is what I want to talk to y'all about. Gather around everybody because I believe this is very important and very vital about what we're just chatting about. Now, you can take away from it what you want, just like everybody does around the coffee table. You can believe it or not believe it, but everything that I'm talking about for y'all here is basically what I've dealt with in life and how I found out how I can handle what a lot of you are talking about out there. Like, I can't afford my meds and food too. I can't afford electric and heat too. I can't afford to pay my rent without going hungry. So I'm just we're gonna sit here and chat about how I handled it and how I'm handling it now. And I'm by far means not perfect. I'm not this great strategist or um, I'm not really a philosopher or anything like that, although I do a lot of philosophies. But I've been on this earth 81 years, 81 and a half years now. And I've been through a lot. I've been homeless. I've gone hungry. I've had heart attacks. I've been paralyzed. I've been cheated on all of my marriages. Uh, I've been pretty much everything. Been threatened uh, by my husband's. It's just a whole scenario. Lived in the desert, homeless. That was just one of the times of being homeless. Going for a week, 2 weeks at a time without food. Different scenarios. If you named it, I probably lived it. But, and that's not even talking about as a child. This is just as an adult, where I started really truly learning things about what's going on. And so I'm gonna let y'all know how some of this stuff happens in my life and how I handle it. Now, right now, just this past week, I went through some significant stuff. Now, right now, I'm going through the fact that I can't shower, and it's very hard to bathe because it's so cold in that bathroom for one thing. But my faucet on my shower broke. So in order for me to be able to take a shower, I've got to figure out a way to be able to do that without going out and buying a bunch of stuff and or get somebody to fix it for me. So I've been dealing with that. Then my water froze again because the heat tape on my water line broke. So that all had to be thought out. And I had to depend on my son-in-law to do that. Now, it might have been at one time that I could have done it, but right now I'm still dealing with walking issues. So, so it's like, okay, when will it ever end? And I'm sure that a lot of you are thinking that. When will it ever end? Well, it'll end when we stop expecting bad things to go wrong. But that's another video. But just like my daughter. They've got money. I mean, they ain't wealthy, but they're wealthy compared to me and a lot of you. And they have to remodel their bathroom because the floor's falling in. Different things like that, the leaking and stuff. And when you have a home, you have to upgrade your home because it's not made out of steel. Those kind of things. So there's just so many things that we have to think about when we're deciding what we got to do in life and how to live and see ourselves through this whatever it is that we're in here. It doesn't matter whether we're in um, a prison, or it doesn't matter whether we're in a flat Earth and that Anunnaki and aliens are running us. Well, it does, none of that matters. What matters is that we're still alive, and we've got to make our life as easy and comfortable as we can. But her dryer also blew up, and they had to put a new heating element. 2 days went by, and that one blowed out. So now they did happen to have another dryer down in their rental house that they rent to their son, one of their sons. So they brought that up, and now they're using that. So no matter who it is, whether you got money or not, and when things break or things go wrong, you got to use your brain to sit down and figure things out. So I'm no stranger to bad things happening to me. I've pretty much seen it all. Bad relationships, uh, people in my life that can mess up my life if I allow it to turn into toxicity, which I've learned not to do that anymore. Love your neighbor as yourself. Just because somebody's getting on your nerves or somebody ain't treating you right, don't mean you have to treat them wrongly back. And that'll keep you sane. That'll keep you on the right path. That'll keep you out of the negative uh, mind, whatever. But so I watch a lot of YouTube because it is my, I got this channel and I watch it to see what's going on with other people and stuff like that. Been watching a lot of the homelessness and um, watching people building houses out in the woods out of an old, but they're using logs and stuff. Now they make it a hobby, but they're still doing it. They're putting forth the effort to do what it is they want. Now I'm not saying that everybody, but there's a lot of people that won't put forth the effort. There's a lot of people that choose to be homeless, and you got to recognize which ones want to be helped and which ones don't. So that kind of leads me to this subject that everybody is saying, I can't afford if I'm going to pay my rent, I'm left with nothing. I've either got to choose between my meds or food. Well, and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of people, and maybe not, maybe not, maybe you understand and you do realize this, but you're afraid what the outcome would be if you chose what I'm going to talk about. But I'll start with the heart attack that I had back in 2015. It was right in the middle of us taking care of our sisters, and things must have just got too hard on me, and I had a heart attack. And it was supposedly because I was having blood clots and too much, the blood was too thick that was going into my heart. So, I mean, they pulled me through and everything. I mean, it wasn't a bunch of hard pain and stuff like that, but I thought it was my stomach, which I'd had trouble with my stomach for a long time. So, naturally, what do? They cleaned out all my arteries in my heart, the valves and stuff like that. They cleaned that all out and they put stents in there so that the blood wouldn't clog up like that again. And of course, they put it all on cholesterol and me eating too much cholesterol and stuff like that. So naturally, they put me on meds, blood pressure medicine, statins for cholesterol, and metoprolol, stuff those kind of meds that kind of do a number on your heart, but at the same time, for that time being, it helps. And I had asked the doctor. I mean, I didn't know that much about those particular meds right then, but it helped right then. I don't believe that the meds that we take is supposed to. I don't believe we're supposed to take them for a lifetime. I believe it's a temporary help, just like I got a big propane tank out there, but I also got two little small 30-gallon propane tanks that they're there handy for when that tank runs out. So I think meds are only meant to help you through a crisis until you can get yourself back up on board and okay, they say it's your cholesterol. Well, it's time to do some research and find out what it is that you're eating that is causing that. But here's the thing. As far as cholesterol goes, our brain is made up out of cholesterol, and our body needs cholesterol. So what else is going on in the body that your cholesterol is not really doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it's going someplace else instead of where it's actually supposed to go to. And but I asked the doctor, I said, well, how long do I have to be on these meds? And he said, no more than 5 years. So I went ahead and I took the meds for 5 years, and finally I was started to have real bad side effects and stuff like that. And of course, you know, you go to the doctor, and especially if you travel around and you went to a different doctor, okay, you tell them this is what that I had a heart attack. They've got me on this meds, and they just automatically keep you on that meds instead of saying, well, let's check this out. Maybe you don't need it anymore. Or maybe have you changed your diet any? What are you eating? Now, some doctors do, but a lot of doctors are trained, the big pharmaceuticals, which is billions and billions and billions of dollars on these chemicals that are being made out here for these particular situations that happen. Well, they had a heart attack, and this is the reason why they had the heart attack. So this particular medicine will help them through that little phase that while their body's healing with the surgery and stuff like that. And so what they're supposed to be doing is, instead of throwing you on the meds for a lifetime, they're supposed to help you with your diet. But here again, a lot of people don't want to stay on that diet because they love this kind of food and they love that kind of food, and it ain't gonna work anyway, that kind of thing. They have that poor mindset, that poor mentality that things are never going to be better, so I'm just going to eat what I want to eat. And I know we were not born in this world to have dumbbells and treadmills and exercising and stuff like that, because way back we did the walking and stuff back then. We didn't have the kind of transportation and stuff that we have now. We don't. It was harder to get around in the walking, and everything gave us the exercise that this body needed. And but now they, you know, do the exercise and this. But here, everybody's different. Everybody's body is different than the next person or next person. Like, whereas this might not work for you, but it might work for you. So, like with me and people like me, I need to stop eating grains because it's doing something. It's putting inflammation in my body, right? But to get back to the heart meds, finally, I got into Florida and having all these side effects and stuff, and of course, when I go in, they say I'm having this side effect. Oh, well, it looks like uh, it's caused by this, and well, why you? They don't say why you following a diet regimen. So it's no longer about my heart. It moved on to a side effect that the heart medicine was causing me, but they don't look at that. They say, oh, it's something else. It's your thyroid. And maybe possibly it's a medicine that's making the thyroid act up. And, or they think that's what it's doing. So they put you on some thyroid medicine, but they keep you on this other medicine. Well, then something else starts happening from the side effects of the thyroid medicine, and they throw another pill at you instead of digging deep and saying, well, let's really focus on your diet. So I quit the meds down there. The only meds I was taking was the stomach acid medicine. And the only reason why I had to take that was because I have a hiatal hernia that allows that stomach acid to come up into my esophagus. And that was never fixed, which I don't know as that could be fixed permanently, or that has something to do with uh, me doing too much strenuous. I don't know. I don't know what causes your stomach that flap to stay open. That flap just quits working and stays open, and the stomach acid comes up in there. So, but I'm on over the counter Nexium, the cheap stuff. So, but I finally quit all that. But then I got sick with something else, my anemic, because apparently I was not eating like I should, not the iron and stuff like that, and or maybe what happened was before I quit the meds, before I quit the thyroid meds, maybe it caused anemic or caused no iron in my body, because that's what it was from, no iron. And so my daughter come down, got me, brought me up here, and found out I was anemic. So they wanted to put me right back on all that heart meds, and they hounded me, even my daughter, because not knowing, hounded me into getting back on those meds. I just it was not a good thing. Instead of saying, let's look at your diet, let's see if we can change your diet. I needed iron, so apparently if I needed iron, my diet was not proper. So I started doing some research and stuff, and I said no. I looked up metapropylo. I looked up all those beta blockers. I looked up the uh, different kinds of the statins. That stuff it's blocking what your brain needs. It's blocking what your blood needs. Different kinds of things like that. And you're still going to have side effects as long as you take it. Some sort of side effects that makes you think that you're getting sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. When in reality, all you really have to do is change what you eat and not eat so much of it. You don't have to eat 3 meals a day. I don't know what makes people, well, because we were taught that. We were taught and programmed that you have to eat 3 meals a day. You don't. So I went off all those heart meds. I went off the statins and the blood pressure meds. First of all, bananas and beets will help your blood pressure to stay down. And then I know y'all are going to say, well, we can't afford the food and take our meds at the same time. Well, that's where it gets a little tricky, folks. I have to say, that's where it gets a little tricky. And of course, and they'll tell you, well, don't go off the meds without talking to your doctor about it. Well, I talked to my doctor. I said, I'm going off the meds. I just told her straight out, I'm not taking these meds no more. And, and of course, some of them can say, well, I'm not going to treat you anymore. If you don't do what we want you to do or what we believe you should do, and of course, and that's what society is turning into. If you don't live in society the way we want you to, then you can't live here, you can't rent here, you can't shop here, you can't, it's just, we're not going to allow it. And so I've been off of those meds now again for 3 years. 3 years. And I'm doing fine. But now I'm working on. See, I'm not your traditional. Now I didn't wean myself off of them, and I didn't do it like I'm going to tell you to do it. I'm telling. I did not. I just stopped the meds. Now I'm working on the food thing, and so I'm telling you to work on the food thing while you're working weaning yourself off the meds. Find out what's going to work for you because, like I said, each one of us is different. One size don't fit all. But with the way they're making the bread and all the foods and the processed foods anymore, I think it's wise that we all be a little bit particular about what we're putting in our mouth and into our body. So, do your own research. And I know a lot of you don't know how to do all that on your phones and different things, and everybody has their own um, issues with their health and things that they can't do. They don't know how to operate computers. They don't know how to operate Google, different things, and I understand that. But I advise you to learn these things the best to your ability, and try to find out what about your meds. And so try to divide it somewhere along the way. Like I said, you don't have to eat oodles and noodles of food. You don't have to eat meat every day if you're a meat eater. You don't have to eat bread every day, but it has to be the good, not the like a lot of people eat the gluten free. But there's still something about that too that's not quite right. Again, you're gonna have to learn to start making your own bread and things, and I know I can't do it here. Now I've got some different recipes and stuff, but it calls for flour if I want bread. And so somewhere in there, my immune system cannot handle the new grains that they have been growing because they've changed that so much too. So I guess what I'm saying is try to find a way to devise between your meds and food. Find out which meds you can get away with, get by without, and be diligent about it. And don't I'm sorry, don't let the doctors say, well, you got to have it or you'll die, or you'll be right back in the same position you was before. Well, here again, uh, most of the doctors in this world anymore are under the thumb of the pharmaceuticals. Otherwise, they wouldn't get paid. They went to school and spent oodles of money or read up loans, school loans, and um, um, all that until they have to make enough money to pay them off. But I stopped the meds, and I am now working on, which that was 3 years ago. I'm now working on my food intake. But another thing that I do, and now we if we're Christians or if we're faith, if we believe that there's a creator, that maybe we should start blessing our food. What comes out of your mouth is the most important thing, Jesus said. Bless your food. What little bit of food you got, maybe you just got um, the bread that I eat has grains in it, and all bread has grains in it, and it's not, so it causes inflammation in my body. So I bless it before I put it in my mouth. And your food is made out of particles and cells and neurons and atoms and energy, just like we are. And when you speak to your food, you're blessing it. It should obey you, just like the mountain that Jesus said, speak to the mountain and tell it to remove. So speak to your food and tell all the chemicals and all the bad things to go out of it. Tell your food. Talk to your food. Talk to your body, along with weaning yourself off of these meds that some people pay godly, outrageous prices for. So even if you've got insurance, you still got to pay copays. So look into that. Pay your rent first, and then and be happy about being able to pay your rent. Don't sit there and say, "Oh God, I'm not going to have no money after I pay my rent." Be happy about it, that you've got the money to pay the rent. Then you work from there. So while you're working on getting rid of your meds and which ones that you feel safe about getting rid of, I mean, do the research on what the side effects are. Now, they'll give you these paper things when they give you the prescription. It'll only give you so many side effects. You got to dig deeper and see because I mean everybody won't have those same particular side effects, but you may. So dig in, Google, and find out what are some rare side effects. Different things like that. Don't be afraid to get in there and look. I mean, and then say, okay, this does this. This could possibly be doing this to me. But like I know people that are on 14 meds at a time. Those are chemicals that you're putting in your body to make everything in your body work the way it should work naturally. But it ain't never gonna happen. Your body has to be its own boss. Your brain and your body has to be its own boss and not controlled by outside forces, outside chemicals. Because God, they're already putting the different chemicals in the food and stuff. So the meds chemicals and the food chemicals are clashing. So I'm just saying, change your meds. Try to get off of your meds and try to eat different and don't eat as much. Don't sit around and eat a bunch of potato chips and ice cream and because the ice cream ain't even ice cream anymore. And the potato chips are made out of God knows what, and anything else, all that kind of stuff. Processed food. They process that food with chemicals. So right now, I mean, I've still got some boxed, like Hamburger Helper and stuff like that, and I'm working towards just natural stuff. Potatoes, eggs. I got berries that are frozen in different kinds of berries for the antioxidants that my stomach needs. And you'd be surprised what your stomach needs in there to make everything else in your body work. And it takes the right kind of food to clear yourself. And you need to do some fasting so your body can get rid of the toxins that's already in there. And sleeping overnight is not enough fasting. Like I said, don't eat 3 or 4 times a day. 2 times is enough. Sometimes I only eat once a day. And the fruits, we should be dealing with the fruits more, but they're ruining them too. They're taking the seeds out. They're covering it with some kind of glaze. So just know what's going on. Just know what you're putting in your body. And know what the consequences could be if you're putting certain stuff in your body. Now, some people can eat a lot of fatty stuff, and some people can't. Like I said, we're all different. Like different parts of the country. Now, I've got German in me, I've got English in me, I've got Irish in me, I got a little touch of Indian in me. So my DNA comes from all over the world. So that means that I wouldn't be able to eat exactly what natural Indians, the native Indians, would. Or I wouldn't be able to eat, and that's just like monkeys and stuff in the wild. What do they eat? They eat what's natural to their habitat. So, but anyway, I don't know if you got anything out of that. You just got to start thinking and thinking harder and thinking more logical, being more critical about how you're handling your life. Because I know 1,200, 3,000, that's a lot to have to pay for rent. And I'm not just talking about senior citizens on a fixed income. I'm talking to everybody that needs to pay rent or pay their mortgage or whatever. Pay that first. Don't sit and think, well, if I pay this and I'm not going to be able to do this and this and this. You don't worry about that right now because you got to keep a roof over your head. Pay the rent first and foremost. Then you sit down and figure out how you can rob Peter to pay Paul, so to speak. And just know that what comes out of your mouth will set the stage for what your life is going to be like. So, remember, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit will dry up your bones, and once your bones are dried up, you have no motivation for nothing. And what you believe in your heart is the direction you will go. That's Proverbs 23:7. So if you believe in your heart that you can't pay your rent, and you start thinking, I'm going to go homeless, I'm going to this, I'm going to that. Yeah, well, that's a direction that you will take yourself into by the decisions that you make. Because if you start thinking in that realm, then you won't pay your rent. You'll try to divide it up. Well, okay, if I only pay half of my rent, then I'll have this much for food and my meds and this and what. No, you pay your rent first and foremost. Because you owe it. You made that agreement with that landlord. Honor your agreements. Obey the laws of the land. Because you're told to do that. So, if you believe you can or if you believe you can't, you're right. So if you believe that you can't pay your rent and whatever's left over that you can work with that, then you won't be able to. But if you get the mindset, I will pay my rent. And I am paying my rent. You don't say will, because that's in the future. I am paying my rent. I am buying my meds. I am buying my food. I am paying my electric. But in the meantime, work on getting rid of them meds. Work on eating properly. And even if it's only a little bit a day, like I said, of eating, you don't have to eat piles and piles of food on your plate. You won't starve. You might get a little thin, and maybe possibly you need to be a little thinner. So, I love you all. Talk to you later. You have a great day. I'm working on mine because, like I said, I've got issues here too. I like living tiny, but camper is not the ideal for heat and coldness and no room to work in and do what you got to do. I don't have enough amperage in here to put me a regular washer and dryer in here, so I got to deal with that. There's just so many things I've got to deal with. But the main thing is to stay grateful for everything I do have, and put myself in a position as much as I can that I feel wealthy, and I'm speaking wealth. I have everything I need. I am blessed with everything I need and a lot of what I want. So, bye-bye, y'all. See you soon.